On my wedding day, in front of everyone, my wife publicly mocked me for my job as a waiter. Then she handed me a bill for half the wedding costs. Her exact words were, "You're lucky I'm marrying below my standards." I froze in shock. Months later, she's crying outside my new restaurant, saying she made a huge mistake. I was just a guy with a quiet little life in Savannah. Waited tables full-time. I didn't go to college. Took a few courses at SCAD when I was younger, but dropped out when my mom got diagnosed with ovarian cancer. She raised me alone after my dad skipped out when I was 6, and she worked nights as a cleaner at the hospital to keep food on the table. So when she got sick, I worked. That's it. After she passed, I never really got back on track with school. I kept working jobs in restaurants, host, server, eventually assistant manager for a while. But I always liked being on the floor. There's something honest about it. People come hungry, they leave happy usually. You learn their routines. Some old guy tips you $5 every Friday because you remember he wants extra lemon. That's real to me. Anyway, fast forward to 2 years ago. I was working a charity fundraiser at the Savannah Cultural Arts Center. A fancy gig, mostly just passing hors d'oeuvres and champagne. And that's when I met Alina. I still remember what she was wearing: deep red silk dress, silver heels, and an attitude like she was auditioning for royalty. She accidentally brushed my tray, and one of the flutes of sparkling rose spilled onto her designer clutch. I was mortified, stammering apologies, offering to pay for it even though I knew it probably cost more than my rent. But she laughed. "You'd be cute if you didn't look like you were about to have a heart attack," she said. I think I fell in love right there. She had that energy, like she walked into a room and assumed everyone was already watching. We started talking, then texting, then dates. She told me her father was a plastic surgeon in Atlanta, and her mother ran an upscale homestaging business. They had money, real money, like summer in Provence money. But Alina said she didn't care about that she liked how grounded I was. Yeah, I believed her. We moved in together about 7 months in. That's when the little comments started. Like, I'd come home late from work, still in my uniform, and she'd wrinkle her nose and go, "You know you smell like fryer oil, right?" Or when I'd meet her friends at rooftop bars and she'd make jokes like, "He's my personal sommelier. Only instead of pouring wine, he carries it across the room." I laughed it off. I really thought she didn't mean anything by it. And I was so damn proud that someone like her wanted someone like me. I didn't want to rock the boat, so I let it slide. All of it. Then came the wedding planning. I didn't want anything big. I suggested a beach ceremony, close friends and family, some live jazz, local food. But she said, "Nico, you'll only get married once. We're not doing it like some backyard barbecue." So it turned into this full-blown production at a vineyard near Athens. Orchids, custom calligraphy invitations, monogram napkins, signature Sikh tales. It cost more than anything I'd ever imagined spending on a single day. She insisted we split the costs. Said, "It's only fair." Even though her dad had offered to cover the whole thing. I drained nearly every dollar I'd saved to cover my half. Then came the day. It started beautifully. She looked incredible. I won't lie. Seeing her walking toward me in that white lace gown made something catch in my throat. For a second, I let myself believe that all the weirdness, the comments, the tension, none of it mattered. This was love. We were finally doing it. After the vows and dinner, people were giving speeches. Her maid of honor told a story about college. My best friend Noel told everyone how we once got locked in a walk-in freezer at our old job and had to eat frozen cheesecake to survive until morning. Everyone laughed. Then Alina grabbed the mic. At first, it seemed like she was going to do a little thank you speech. She smiled, sipped from her glass, and said, "I never imagined I'd fall for someone who doesn't know what a Roth IRA is." People chuckled, uncomfortably. But I guess love really is blind. She looked at me and grinned. Seriously though, when I told my mom I was marrying a waiter, she nearly choked on her mimosa. Dead silence. She went on. "But you know what? I believe in charity. I believe in lifting people up. So, Nico," she pulled a folded paper out from her bouquet. "Here's your invoice for half the wedding. Itemized. Just like you like it." I couldn't even hear the laughter anymore. My ears were ringing. Then she said it. The thing that broke me. "You're lucky I'm marrying below my standards." I didn't say anything. I just stood up and walked out. Left her, the party, the guests. Everything. I walked for hours. Ended up back at my apartment, still in my wedding suit, sitting on the edge of the tub like some cliché scene in a sad indie film. I turned my phone off and didn't turn it back on for 3 days. Noelle came by. So did my aunt. I didn't answer. I just needed time. Eventually, I filed for an annulment. She didn't fight it. Just sent back the ring with a sticky note. "Hope you get what you want." 6 months passed. I worked nonstop. I picked up double shifts at the seafood place downtown, then started helping with inventory at the back end. I was furious, but more than that, I was determined. And that old place, Bistro Levain, it stayed in my head. One night after a long shift, I walked by and noticed the for lease sign. It was still empty, still sad. Like me, I guess. So I called the number. It took everything, My credit, my remaining savings, help from Noel's cousin Frankie, who worked in small business loans. But I did it. I reopened the place. Named it the Salted Table. Southern fusion, modern comfort food, nothing fancy. Think crispy duck with jalapeno cornbread, honey-glazed short ribs, seasonal peaches in almost everything. The night we opened, we sold out. The Savannah Morning News did a piece on us. Local food bloggers came. We got booked out 2 weeks straight. And then, one rainy Tuesday in February, I stepped outside for some air. Just leaned against the brick wall, listening to the rain hit the sidewalk. That's when I saw her. Alina, sitting across the street, under a street lamp, mascara running, hair wet, staring at the restaurant. She saw me and ran over, heels clicking on the wet pavement. Nico, please, can we talk? I didn't say anything. Just looked at her. She was crying now, real tears. I was horrible. I didn't know what I had. I thought I wanted someone who looked good on paper, someone my parents would approve of. But none of those people have what you have. She gestured at the window. You built this. Without me. You did it all. And she choked back a sob. I threw it away like it was nothing. She took a step closer. I miss you. I finally spoke. No. You miss who you thought I was. Who you thought you could shape into someone who'd never question being mocked at his own wedding. She flinched. You broke something in me that day. Not just the relationship, my trust, my self-respect. You laughed at me in front of my family, my friends. You humiliated me like I was beneath you. She was full-on crying now. I made a mistake. I was cruel. I see that now. Please, Nico. I just want a chance to fix it. I looked her in the eye. You can't. And I went back inside. She stood there in the rain for a while. Then she left. I wish I could tell you that after that rainy night, I never saw Alina again. That she faded from my world as quietly as a misty Savannah morning. But life doesn't really work like that, does it? 3 days after she showed up crying outside the restaurant, I got a call. It was her father, Dr. Oscar Delacroix. I'd spoken to him maybe 5 times in the whole 2 years Alina and I had dated. He was always polite but distant. The kind of man who looked over your shoulder when he shook your hand. This time, his voice was measured but tight. Like he was choosing each word like it was a grenade that might go off if he phrased it wrong. Nico, he said, I'd appreciate a few minutes of your time. No pressure. Just a conversation between 2 men. I almost laughed. 2 men? Like equals. A long pause. I'd like to apologize on behalf of my daughter. Shouldn't she do that? She tried. She tried to fix the part of her that hurts when she's not the most powerful person in the room. He went quiet again, then sighed. She's not well. She's been in therapy. We're trying to support her. She's expressed a desire to make amends. I didn't answer. She made a mistake, he added. No, I said. She didn't trip over a sidewalk crack. She humiliated me with full intent and planning. Nico, goodbye, doctor. I hung up. Noel asked me later if I regretted not hearing him out more. I told him no. Because what was there to say? If Alina wanted to apologize, she already did. She just wanted forgiveness on her own timeline, in her own way. Just like always. That weekend, someone sent flowers to the restaurant. 2 dozen white roses with a note. I still believe in us. Please talk to me. I handed them to the dishwasher. He took them home to his mom. A few weeks passed. Business was booming. I buried myself in work. I was running on fumes some days, 14-hour shifts, menu planning, managing staff, marketing. I even started doing Instagram videos with Noel where we'd show how to make our most popular dishes. Somehow, it turned into a thing. People started coming and asking, is the Instagram chef here? And for the first time in years, I felt proud. Not just happy, proud. But life doesn't let you move forward without tugging on the past like a loose thread. One Thursday afternoon, while prepping for the evening service, my manager Keisha came into the kitchen, wide-eyed. You've got visitors, she said. Tell them I'm not available. She hesitated. It's the Delacroix family. I wiped my hands on my apron, looked at her, and let out a long breath. They're at the bar, she said. Sure enough, when I stepped out, there they were. Alina, her father, her mother, sitting at the bar, polished and poised like a campaign photo for Southern aristocracy. Alina stood the second she saw me. Nico, she said, her voice quieter than I'd ever heard it. Her eyes were glassy. Her lipstick was smudged at the corner. Her hands trembled slightly as she clasped them together. I'm sorry, she said again. Her father stood as well. We don't want to intrude. We're just here because. Alina insisted. I looked at them, then looked around at my staff, at my restaurant, at the fruits of the pain they had helped cause. And I felt nothing. Not hate. Not anger. Just this dull, echoing emptiness. You want something to eat? I asked flatly. Alina blinked. What? You're here. I assume you came to eat. We're full, but I can get you a table in 20 minutes. Her mom stood now, clearly uncomfortable. We don't want a meal, Nico. We want to talk. Maybe in private. I shook my head. You want me to take a break from the restaurant I built without your help so you can feel better about your daughter's actions? Alina looked like she'd been slapped. Her father tried to jump in again, but I held up a hand. No. You came here for redemption, but I'm not your priest. I turned to leave. Nico, please, Alina called behind me. And then, for the first time since the wedding, I looked her straight in the eyes and said, you didn't just make a mistake. You showed me who you really are. And I finally listened. I walked away. They didn't stay for dinner. A few days later, one of the line cooks told me he saw Alina on River Street, sitting alone near the water, staring out at nothing for over an hour. I didn't ask for more. I didn't need to know. The thing is, when someone humiliates you that publicly, it's not about whether you still love them. It's about whether you can ever respect yourself again if you let them back in. I've spent most of my life trying to prove I was enough. Enough of a man. Enough of a partner. Enough of a success. But now I wake up every day and I'm not afraid to look in the mirror. That's enough for me. It had been a few weeks since the last time I saw Alina and her parents at the restaurant. The air had shifted. It wasn't just the seasons, it was something internal. That strange quiet that comes after confrontation. You think it's going to feel like freedom, but it's more like standing in a room where a BMB went off, and you're still waiting to see if the ceiling will hold. Then the email started. First, it was from some low-level producer from a local news station. Hi Nico, we've heard about your story and the launch of your restaurant. Would love to do a human interest piece. Your name's been floating around in some circles. Let us know. I ignored it, but more followed. Blogs, a podcast, even some niche influencer who called herself a love coach for high-value women. Apparently, word had spread. Someone had leaked a version of what happened at the wedding. Not all of it, but enough. The viral machine did what it always does, twisted the facts, added spice, removed the soul. Suddenly, I was being called the waiter groom. People were debating online if Alina was a social climber or just honest. It was surreal. Seeing strangers dissect one of the most painful nights of your life like it was a scripted reality show. Noelle showed me one of the posts. Honestly, she was just being real. Why lie? Some girls don't want to marry down. At least she was upfront about it. The comments under that? BR Tao. Divided. Some people defended her. Others roasted her. Then some turned it into memes. You're lucky I'm marrying below my standards became a TikTok audio. People lip-synced it in dramatic voiceovers with wedding dresses and diner uniforms. One even ended with the groom walking into a 5-star restaurant he supposedly built after the fact. Funny how people will laugh at your pain and then try to inspire others with it. I got tagged in so many things I had to set all my social accounts to private. But then, Alina's version started making the rounds. She posted a 3-minute video on Instagram. Just her, in soft lighting, makeup done to make her look slightly tired but still gorgeous. She had that breathy voice people use when they want to sound sincere. I was young. I was insecure. And yes, I was cruel. But I was also pressured. My family, they never accepted him. I cracked under the weight of expectations. She didn't say my name, but she didn't have to. I was lashing out at myself, not at him. I thought he wouldn't care. I thought he'd laugh. But I know now how deep I cut. And if he's listening, wherever he is, I'm sorry. Cue tears. Hand to chest. Fade to black. Noelle texted me the clip with 3 words. She's doing damage control. He was right. A day later, I got a letter in the mail. It wasn't from her. It was from her lawyer. It wasn't a lawsuit exactly. It was a cease and desist. They were alleging that I had shared details of the wedding night that led to emotional distress and reputational damage for Alina. I laughed so hard I nearly fell off the loading dock behind the restaurant. It took me exactly 1 phone call to forward everything to my own attorney, a woman named Marta, who used to be a guest at the first restaurant I ever worked in. She was tough, brilliant, and had a memory like a steel trap. Do they think they have a case? She said. Do they know you haven't spoken publicly at all? I told her I hadn't said a word. She nodded. They want to scare you. Public sympathy's shifting. They're trying to regain control of the narrative. Should I say something? I asked. She paused. Not yet. Let them show their cards. In the meantime, business at the Salted Table had tripled. We were on waiting lists weeks out. The TikTok crowd started flying in from out of state. Couples proposed in the booth by the window where I usually took my breaks. Someone painted a mural on the back alley wall. Me in an apron, flipping a steak with a speech bubble that read, "Build your own table. Salt it with tears if you have to." I didn't authorize it, but I let it stay. Then came the interview request. Savannah Living, one of the local lifestyle magazines, wanted to do a feature on the restaurant. I told them I wasn't interested in talking about my personal life. They promised they wouldn't mention the wedding incident. Just food, growth, community. I agreed. It came out the following month. Big splashy headline. The man behind the salt. How a local server became Savannah's favorite chef. No drama. No revenge narrative. Just my story. Quiet. Honest. And that, more than anything, seemed to get under Alina's skin. Because 2 days after the issue dropped, I found her sitting on the patio bench out back. Same spot she'd cried the first time she came by. Only this time, she wasn't crying. She looked calm. Tired. Like someone who'd finally run out of gas on the side of the road. She stood when I came out. "Can we talk?" she said. I didn't answer. just leaned against the railing, arms crossed. I'm not here to apologize again, she said. I know that wouldn't mean anything now. I gave a dry smile. Glad we agree on something. She sighed. I just wanted to tell you I read the article. You didn't mention me. You didn't try to get back at me. And you could have. God knows you had every right to. I shrugged. Wasn't about you. I know. She looked away, then back at me. I thought if I came clean publicly, people would understand. But I don't think I even understand myself. That sounds like a problem for a therapist. I'm seeing one, she said quietly. We stood there for a long time. No sounds but the hum of the AC and the distant clink of silverware through the restaurant window. I never loved anyone before you, she said. You had a strange way of showing it. She winced, but nodded. Yeah, I know. I sabotaged it. I was scared of what people would think if I stayed with you. And I hated myself for caring what they thought. So I punished you instead. For the first time in a long time, I didn't feel anger. I felt something else. Like watching a mirror that used to reflect you suddenly go blank. I didn't come here hoping for anything, she said. I just wanted to tell you that I think you're the best man I've ever known. And then she walked away. This time, I didn't stop her. After that day, her standing on the back patio, giving what I guess was her version of closure, I didn't hear from Alina again. For a while, things settled down in a way that was eerie. The kind of silence where you start waiting for the next thing to go wrong because peace feels unfamiliar. But I focused on the restaurant. I kept my head down, did my job, trained my staff, lived my life. But then came the real curveball. A formal letter. Certified mail. Thick envelope, crisp stationery. This time, it wasn't a cease and desist. It was a notice of intent to sue. Alina was filing a civil suit for emotional distress, defamation, and breach of verbal contract. Yeah, I had to read that twice too. The claim? She alleged that I had profited from the dramatization of our relationship, indirectly capitalizing on her likeness and character through the public popularity of my restaurant, and therefore owed her compensatory and equitable damages. Translation: she saw the business booming and thought she had a stake in it. I called Marta immediately. Her laugh lasted a full 15 seconds. Has she lost her mind? I asked. Possibly, Marta said. But this is desperation. It's not about money. It's about relevance. Is there any legal weight to it? Only if you confess to opening the restaurant as some kind of elaborate revenge plot, which, unless you're an idiot, you haven't done, right? Of course not. Then this'll burn out. But we need to respond seriously. And we did. Marta filed a motion to dismiss within 2 weeks. She attached proof of timeline, the business plan that predated the wedding by months, income reports, and even employee statements confirming that I never once used Alina's name or story in my marketing or interviews. But the thing that let her case dead? A printout of her own Instagram video, the one where she publicly admitted to humiliating me, pressured by her parents, and cracking under the weight of expectations. It might have been a self-serving PR stunt, but it served us better. The court didn't even schedule a hearing. Case dismissed. That should have been the end of it. But of course, it wasn't. A week after the dismissal, I got a knock at my apartment door. Late. Almost midnight. It was Noel. He was out of breath and holding up his phone. Dude, he said, you need to see this. I took his phone. It was a live stream. Alina, crying. Again. Alone. No makeup. Dim room. Mood lighting, of course. But this time, she wasn't apologizing. She was blaming. I loved someone who used me, who lied about who he was, who made me believe he cared, and then turned the whole world against me. He used what I said at our wedding to build a brand. He's been profiting off my pain. He's a manipulator. And the worst part? He's convinced everyone he's the victim. She didn't say my name, but she didn't have to. The chat was going nuts. Some people were eating it up. Others were calling her out. It was chaos. I handed Noel his phone back. You're not going to say anything? He asked. I shook my head. No. She wants me to respond. That's the whole point. Because here's the truth. She wanted me in the mud with her. Public spectacle. Matching scars. But I didn't need that. Let her talk. I had a restaurant full of people. A staff that depended on me. A dream that didn't have her name on a single brick. That's where I belonged. Still, the fallout lingered. A few influencers boycotted the place. Someone even left a 1-star review accusing me of exploiting trauma for clout. Another claimed they saw me mistreat a server, which my entire team laughed off because I tipped my staff out of pocket on slow nights. But those were a few loud voices. The rest? They kept showing up. Week after week. A month after the failed lawsuit, Savannah Eats did a review. Called the short rib better than heartbreak. Which, if I'm being honest, felt a little too on the nose, but whatever. We sold out every table for the next 2 weeks. Then something strange happened. I got an email. Subject line. From her. It was from a burner address. No reply. No signature. But the writing? I knew. It was Alina. You're not who I thought you were. You're stronger. Smarter. Kinder. I didn't destroy you. I revealed you. Maybe that's the only good thing I ever did. No attachments. No threat. Just that. I stared at it for a long time. I didn't reply. I archived it. Because by then, I was learning something important. Closure doesn't come when someone else tells you they're sorry. It doesn't come when the world takes your side or when the truth finally surfaces. It comes when you stop needing any of that to move forward. That lesson, I was still learning it. Still living it, honestly. But I was getting better. One night, a couple came in. Mid-40s. Quiet. They ordered wine, then dessert first. I liked that. Said it was their anniversary. We got to talking. They asked who owned the place. I said, "You're looking at him." The wife smiled and said, "You must have had help." I smiled back. In a way, yeah. Just not the kind I expected. She didn't ask what I meant. I didn't offer more. Because sometimes the whole story doesn't need to be told out loud. The thing about revenge is, when it's real, it doesn't come in one big, dramatic moment with fireworks and slow-motion applause. It comes in the silence. In the fact that you no longer flinch when you hear their name. In the way people shake your hand and smile with genuine warmth when you serve them a dish you created. It comes in the quiet dignity of building something that no one can take away from you. And sometimes, it comes when they have to sit in what they did. Alone. A few months after that last email, after the live stream, the lawsuit, the Instagram tears, life kept moving. The Salted Table was doing better than I'd dreamed. We started a Sunday supper club, a kind of pay-what-you-can event. It brought in folks from all walks of life. Some of the same people I used to wait tables with now dined there in their Sunday best. One day, I got a call from someone at the James Beard Foundation. They were doing a spotlight on small-town chefs who had made significant impacts in their communities. Someone had nominated me anonymously. I didn't care about awards. I still don't. But the fact that someone out there thought I mattered enough to be in that conversation, that was something. I started mentoring kids at a local culinary school. One of them, a 19-year-old named Tarek, told me, "Man, when I saw that video of what your ex said at your wedding, I wanted to throw a plate. But then I saw what you did after, and I was like, damn, that's how you win." And yeah, maybe I won. But not by becoming rich. Not by burning her back. Not even by proving her wrong. I won by becoming a version of myself I didn't know I was capable of being. Then came the full circle. It was a Thursday night. Busy dinner rush. The restaurant was buzzing. Keisha came to the back and said, "You might want to handle table 6 personally." I raised an eyebrow. "Is it a problem?" She shrugged. "Not really. But just go see." So I wiped my hands and stepped out into the dining room. And there she was. Alina. Hair shorter now. Face a little thinner. No makeup. She looked different. Not broken, not glamorous, just real. Sitting alone, hands folded neatly on the linen tablecloth. No wine, no phone out. Just waiting. She looked up and saw me. And I'll never forget it. That flicker in her eyes. Not guilt. Not hope. Just humility. She stood as I approached. "Hi," she said. "Hi. I heard about the supper club. Didn't realize it was tonight." I said nothing. She glanced around. "The place is beautiful, Nico. Truly." Still, I said nothing. "I'm not here to ask anything of you. I swear. I just wanted to see it. With my own eyes. What you built." She sat back down. Looked at the menu. "Would it be alright if I stayed for dinner?" I looked at her for a moment. Then at the staff behind the bar. Then back at her. "Of course," I said. "We serve everyone here." I didn't say anything else. I didn't linger. I didn't offer a free dessert or try to flex. I walked back to the kitchen, plated a dish myself, rosemary seared chicken over brown butter grits and roasted peach glaze, and asked Keisha to bring it to her. I didn't watch her eat. I didn't check in. I had a restaurant to run. An hour later, I glanced toward table 6. She was gone. The check was paid. On the receipt, under the tip line, she'd written something. I picked it up after the table had been cleared. "You were always too good for me." I just didn't know it then. I do now. I folded it, tucked it in my back pocket, and never looked at it again. Because that was the end. No flames. No explosions. Just a quiet moment where the person who broke you has to sit alone in a room you built from the rubble. That's what real revenge looks like. And the best part? You don't need it anymore.